What's up guys, my name is Ace, and as we're waiting for any kind of news or information regarding Season 4, I've been reflecting a lot on Warzone, and one thing that hasn't crossed my mind in a while is we're most likely going to get an update to the ground loot with Season 4. This is something we saw, I believe it was at the beginning of Season 3, they completely changed up the loot that was available on the ground in Warzone. And that really does change up a lot of the early game dynamics, and it is one of the ways that they can absolutely freshen the game up a little bit, at least for the early game situations before you get your loadouts. So today, I wanted to talk about the weapons that we can expect to see as the ground loot for Season 4, assuming they follow suit with what they did in the last season, and they do in fact change up the loot that's on the ground. Now keep in mind, when I mention ground loot, I'm talking about the guns that are literally just floating around the map, not the guns that are in those loot boxes that are scattered around the map that you open up. Those tend to be weapon blueprints. While I also wouldn't be surprised if they change up a lot of those blueprints for Season 4, I'm mainly just talking about the weapons that are actually just ground loot weapons. And it does turn out, by process of elimination, we can actually get a pretty good indication of what we might see for our ground loot weapons in Season 4. So let's go through when Warzone first dropped. The ground loot weapons that we had access to were the M13, the MP7, the Scar 17, the Model 680 shotgun, the MG34, and then if I remember correctly, I think it was also the Mark II carbine and or the EBR-14. I can't quite remember 100%. I am really confident on the assault rifle and SMG though. But yeah, that's the standard ground loot that we had access to when Warzone first launched. Then when Season 3 hit, they changed this up, and we've still got these weapons as of right now. The current ground loot weapons are the M4A1, the AK-47, the Odin, the Uzi, the M91, the Kar98, and the 725. Now there's a chance I'm missing one or two in there, but those are the main ones you tend to see on the ground at least, without having to open a loot box. My brain might not be working properly here. The FR556 and the P90 may be ground loot weapons as well, or I might just be getting them out of crates. I honestly can't quite remember off the top of my head here. But in either case, those are the general weapons you tend to see on the ground within Season 3. Now, the interesting thing to point out is so far for ground loot weapons, there are no post-launch weapons as regular ground loot. Yes, you can get some blueprints out of those loot crates that are scattered around the map, but as far as actual ground loot weapons, we haven't seen any post-launch weapons. So assuming they follow suit with that, and if we just use process of elimination here, for Season 4, what we can likely expect to see as our ground loot weapons are going to be the Kilo 141, the FAL, the AUG SMG, the PP19 Bizon SMG, the SA87, and the Origin 12 or the R90. And personally, I'm liking the sounds of that. I'm actually really hoping that I'm right here and this is going to be the case for Season 4. I think that would be an excellent set of ground loot weapons. Of course, they would fill all of this out with the blueprints that you can get out of the crates as well, and that could be a wide variety of different weapons. It seems like there's not much of a pattern when it comes to those. But when it comes to ground loot, assuming this is the direction they're going, I'm quite excited for that. When it comes to the ground loot we've been seeing in Season 3, I honestly haven't been all that impressed. Like, yeah, the M4 and the Uzi are great and everything, but I personally preferred that ground loot from when Warzone first dropped, where we had like M13s and MP7s, for instance. I would much rather have those guns as weapons that are just laying around on the ground. So those are my thoughts on this ground loot situation, at least. I'm really excited to see what they end up changing here when it comes to Season 4. But this also reminded me of an interview that Taylor Kurosaki did a little while back that mentioned that they planned on adding new field upgrades as well to Warzone, and possibly multiplayer. I don't know if there's going to be much crossover here. And while we don't have any indication whatsoever of what a new field upgrade could be, I do have one idea in mind that I would love to see, at least within the context of Warzone. Probably wouldn't work at all for multiplayer. This would be a grapple gun of some sort, or some kind of a grappling hook, some way to gain verticality by using a field upgrade in areas where you don't need a ladder or stairs. One of my big frustrations with Warzone is people that are camping on top of buildings or like in the second floor buildings with no other way to get up there. Maybe there's only one stairway up or one ladder up. And I think having some kind of a field upgrade that gives you the ability to gain elevation without taking the standard routes, that would be excellent. But of course, like I said, that is just pure speculation and hope on my end. We have nothing that actually points to that at this point. We just know that at some point we can expect to see new field upgrades coming in the future. But with that, that's pretty much everything I wanted to discuss in today's video. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about the potential upcoming changes to the ground loot for Season 4? Do you think I'm right with the weapon list that I presented there as far as the loot that we will likely be seeing for Season 4? Or do you think it'll be something completely different? Also, if you were to implement a brand new field upgrade to Warzone, what would you have that field upgrade do, or what would it be? Just let me know those thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.